There is a windmill in Holmes County, Ohio, that has been pumping water since 1887. Not decorative, not restored, working. The same cast iron head, rebuilt once in 1954 with parts machined at a local foundry, turning in the same wind for 137 years. It pumps water from a well 40 feet deep into a tank in the barn, above the level of the house and the farm. Gravity carries that water to every point on the property that needs it. No electric pump, no pressure tank, no monthly electricity cost. The wind pumps, gravity distributes, the farm drinks. Adjacent to that windmill, there is a small creek with a 2-foot drop. In 1923, the family built a wooden water wheel on that drop. The wheel turns. A shaft connects it to a small stone building. Inside, a millstone grinds grain, and pulleys drive a wood lathe and a sawmill blade. No electricity, no engine, no fuel. The creek turns the wheel. The wheel does the work. The work has been getting done continuously since 1923. These systems represent the piece of the Amish energy picture that this series has not yet described. The mechanical systems that do physical work. The grinding, pumping, and lifting that every farm requires was replaced by the electrical grid so completely that most have never seen mechanical power. This video is about mechanical power, about the wind and water that deliver it for free, and the machines the Amish use to capture it. Transitioning to electric motors happened not because of efficiency, but because they created a recurring revenue stream, while wind and water did not. The average American household uses 900 kilowatt hours per month. Approximately 15 to 20% goes to motors like refrigerators and washing machines. The annual cost of motor-driven household loads is $300 to $450. Over 50 years, that is $15,000 to $22,500. The Holmes County Windmill performs its function at an annual operating cost of zero. It has done this for 137 years. Total maintenance over 137 years, 235 in parts and oil. Compare that to $22,500 in electricity costs for an equivalent electric pump. Mechanical wisdom proves that sometimes the oldest solutions are the most enduring and economically sound choices for the future. The water wheel performs its grinding and mechanical work functions at the same zero operating cost, with maintenance requirements similarly minimal. The millstones are dressed approximately every 2 years, a process of recutting the grooves in the stone face that allow it to grind effectively, requiring 4 hours of skilled work with a mill bill, a small chisel specifically designed for the purpose. The wooden buckets of the wheel are replaced every 15 to 20 years as the wood softens in the constant wet-dry cycle. Total maintenance cost over 100 years of wheel operation, approximately $500 in materials, and 40 hours of skilled labor. Against the equivalent cost of electric motor operation over the same period, $30,000 to $45,000 in electricity alone. These numbers represent a principle that runs deeper than the specific machines. The principle is that wind and water are not fuel sources. They are force sources. The distinction matters enormously. Fuel is consumed and must be replenished. Coal is burned. Natural gas is burned. Even the wood in the masonry heater is consumed and must be replaced from the woodlot. But wind is not consumed when it turns the windmill. The wind blows through the rotor and continues. The water flows over the wheel and continues. The energy extracted from the wind and water does not reduce the supply. The resource is perpetual. The extraction is harmless. The operating cost is zero from the first day to the last day. This is a fundamentally different energy relationship. The industrial transition to fuel-based generation was not driven by energy efficiency. Wind and water power are the most efficient energy conversion systems because the source energy has zero conversion loss before it reaches the mechanism. The wind turns the rotor directly. The water turns the wheel directly. There is no fuel combustion, no steam generation, no turbine, no generator, no transmission line, no transformer between the energy source and the mechanical work output. The efficiency is limited only by the mechanical efficiency of the machine, typically 80 to 90%, for a well-designed wheel. An electric motor operates at 90% efficiency, but the electricity it draws was generated from fuel at approximately 35% efficiency. The end-to-end efficiency from fuel to mechanical work through the electric motor pathway is approximately 28 to 32%. The wind to mechanical pathway through the windmill, 60 to 75%. The water to mechanical pathway through the wheel, 70 to 80%. The wind and water systems are not quaint. They are thermodynamically superior to the electric alternatives in every comparison except convenience and controllability. The industrial transition chose convenience and controllability because those properties enabled the centralized infrastructure model that generates revenue. An electric motor can be turned on and off with a switch. It can be installed in a factory in the middle of a city. The flexibility of electric power enabled the geographic concentration of industry that generated the enormous wealth of the 20th century. The windmill and water wheel did not disappear because they stopped working. They disappeared because they could not be centralized, metered, or billed. The systems the Holmes County property uses are not museum technology. They are manufactured today, available today, and can be installed today. The gap between what they cost to install and what they save over their lifetime is as dramatic as any calculation in this series. The windmill, the classic American farm windmill, the multi-blade design that is immediately recognizable from its silhouette against a prairie sky, was perfected in the 1880s and has not changed fundamentally in the 140 years since. The Air Motor Company, founded in 1888, is still manufacturing farm windmills today, using essentially the same design that their engineers developed in the 1890s. A new air motor windmill, tower included, costs approximately $2,000 to $4,000 installed depending on tower height and pump configuration. A rebuilt used windmill, available through farm salvage dealers across the Great Plains and Midwest, costs approximately $500 to $2,500 installed. The Holmes County windmill is the rebuilt used type. Its original purchase cost was equivalent to approximately $200 to $300 in current dollars. The windmill pumps water when the wind blows above approximately 8 miles per hour, which is the cut-in wind speed for most designs. In the Great Plains and Midwest, wind speeds exceed this threshold for 60 to 70% of daylight hours on an annual average basis. The water pumped during wind periods fills a storage tank whose capacity provides supply during the calm periods. The Holmes County tank holds approximately 2,500 gallons, sufficient for the household's daily water needs for 7 to 10 days without any wind pumping. The water is delivered from the elevated tank through gravity-fed distribution, piping to every water point on the property. No pressure pump. The Holmes County tank sits 25 feet above the highest usage point, providing 11 pounds per square inch of working pressure. The water wheel. The overshot water wheel is the most efficient design, converting 70 to 85% of potential energy into mechanical work. The Holmes County wheel is an undershot design because the creek's 2-foot drop is not sufficient for an overshot wheel. This 2-foot drop delivers approximately 1/4 of 1 mechanical horsepower continuously, enough to grind grain or drive a small sawmill. Now I want to describe the regulatory history of water power, specifically the riparian doctrine that applies in the eastern states. The owner of land through which a stream flows has the right to make reasonable use of that water, including diversion for power. A family farm using a small water wheel on their property is generally exercising a right that attaches to the land ownership. In the western states, prior appropriation applies. Water rights are allocated based on priority of historical use rather than land ownership. Establishing a new water right requires filing an application with the state authority, demonstrating that water is available and obtaining a formal right. The process is more complex than riparian use, but is entirely manageable for small-scale projects with adequate planning. Several western states have established expedited permitting pathways for micro-hydroelectric projects under 50 kilowatts that simplify the process considerably. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, has jurisdiction over hydroelectric projects on navigable waters. Small run-of-river projects like the Holmes County wheel, which do not involve significant impoundment, are generally exempt from FERC licensing. The regulatory pathway exists and is navigable for most small-scale projects. But consult your state water resources agency before installing any system. The wind is legally simpler. Mechanical systems for on-site pumping are often not subject to utility interconnection or electrical code requirements. The windmill pumps water. The grid is not involved. The utility is not involved. No inverter is needed because it produces mechanical power. Let me describe mechanical wind and water power on a suburban property without a stream or the consistent wind of the Great Plains. The principle of using mechanical energy to perform work without converting to electricity is replicable in every residential context. The hand pump on a well delivers water from below grade without a motor. The manual grain mill grinds without electricity. The treadle sewing machine operates at full speed from foot power. The hand crank food processor performs kitchen functions without a motor. Every one of these tools performs its function through direct mechanical energy, without any electrical conversion in the pathway. The cumulative electrical load eliminated by replacing motorized household tools with manual or mechanically powered equivalents is not trivial. The grain mill that grinds a family's weekly bread flour uses approximately 0.5 kilowatt-hours per session. Over 50 years, $200 in electricity. Trivial in isolation, combined with the hand-operated food processor, the treadle sewing machine, the hand pump and the gravity distribution system, and the dozen other mechanical operations that a household can perform without electric motors, once it has the tools and the practice. The cumulative electrical load reduction is meaningful. More importantly, each mechanical tool that replaces an electric motor reduces the household's dependency on the grid and on the utility that operates it. A hand-powered grain mill works when the power is out. A gravity-fed water system works when the pump fails. A treadle sewing machine works when the electricity is cut. The redundancy is not the primary value. The primary value is the skill, the practice, and the relationship with physical work that the mechanical tools maintain in the household's daily life. The Lancaster County family maintains these skills because they use these tools. The Holmes County family maintains mechanical power systems because the water and the wind are there, and because the machines to capture them are there, and because the knowledge of how to maintain those machines is in the family book and in the hands of the family members who have been maintaining them for 4 generations. The mechanical relationship with wind and water and gravity is not a sacrifice or a deprivation. It is the expression of a design principle that runs through every system in this series. The earth provides. The relationship is worth maintaining. The Tuesday keeps coming. The windmill turns in the Ohio wind as it has turned since 1887. The water wheel turns on the Holmes County Creek as it has turned since 1923. The wind and the water are doing what they have always done, working for free for the family that built the machines to receive their work, working without a bill, without a contract, without a service call, without a rate increase, without a system that profits from the relationship. Just working, the way wind works, the way water works, the way the Tuesday that never stops coming keeps delivering what it has always delivered. To the families that built the relationships to receive it, drop your state and your property situation in the comments. Whether you have a stream with any elevation change, whether you are in a wind resource area, whether you have any interest in the hand-powered mechanical tools that bring this principle to properties without stream or wind access. Because the next video is going to address the question that I know is forming for the largest portion of this audience. The person with no land, the renter, the apartment dweller, the person who has watched 23 videos and found every system inaccessible for their specific situation. That person deserves a video. And it turns out the Amish have something specific to say to them too. Stay close.